Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Fi Mastery Podcast, where our focus is on providing tools, resources, and insights that empower driven individuals to secure their own path to financial independence. My name is Peter Donisanu, and today we're going to talk about the single most important investment out there, and we're not talking about a Roth account or buying the latest meme stock, but rather we're talking about investing in yourself. You know, the truth is that more often than not, what gets in the way of reaching our financial independence goals is not our boss or our coworkers or competition, but it's ourselves. In fact, when our actions are out of alignment with who we're meant to be, and we're executing on other people's scripts in an environment that doesn't value our contributions, then we shouldn't be surprised when all of our efforts fail to bring us our desired outcomes. That's why in today's episode, we'll discuss how to invest in yourself and develop your own human capital so you can get to your own definition of financial independence in a more efficient and effective manner. So with that, let's dive into today's podcast. What's the one investment that can double, triple, or even 10x your wealth and keep producing a steady stream of income no matter what life throws your way? Well, it's human capital. Indeed, investing in yourself is the single most valuable component of wealth building, and yet it often doesn't get the attention it deserves. And so what exactly is human capital? Well, you can think of human capital as the unique value that you bring to the world. In a way, it's like an invisible backpack of everything you know and can do that adds value to yourself and the people around you. In fact, you can think of your own human capital like you would a character in a video game, where the more skills and abilities your character gains, the more valuable your character becomes over time. And so just like in a video game, the more skills and experience you collect, the stronger and more valuable you become, allowing you to level up and take on greater challenges and responsibilities in the game of life. Now, as critical as human capital sounds, the truth is that many individuals believe that human capital development stops after college. Now, the fact is that if you're looking for a way to supercharge your path to financial independence and preserve the wealth you have today, then understanding who you need to become, executing like a pro, and taking your skills to the right arena can ensure that you're making the most of your most vital wealth building asset. All right, so if human capital is one of the most valuable components of getting what we want out of life, where do we start? Well, the first place to start is by first understanding who you need to become. You see, for many of us, up until our 20s or 30s, we're simply following the scripts handed to us by our friends, our families, our colleagues, or society at large. And so more often than not, developing your skills often means doing what you think others want you to do so that you can get what you want. The truth is, however, that developing your human capital is intrinsically tied to a more profound journey of self-awareness, personal growth, and self-actualization, or becoming the best version of yourself. Indeed, Richard Rohr, the Franciscan monk who spent his time sharing his thoughts on this perspective, says that when we embark on the path of understanding who we need to become, then our growth efforts naturally align with that vision, which gives us a deeper sense of our own purpose and direction. Now, this process isn't about just amassing more knowledge or skills, but about diving into the nuances of our strengths and of our desires and our passions. Certainly, this journey, when done intentionally and not because anybody else tells us that we need to do it, this journey becomes one of understanding who we really are, because it acts like a motivator or a beacon that guides us through our immediate life challenges and our daily obstacles. In fact, it fuels our perseverance, making each step towards our goals more satisfying and meaningful. And as we continue on this path, our interactions with others become more genuine and honestly comes from a place of authenticity. So then this approach not only aids in our forging deeper connections with our personal and professional relationships, it also ensures that our growth is well-rounded and encompasses all aspects of our life goals. Indeed, in a constantly evolving and changing world, having a clear internal vision of who we need to become is critical because it serves as our anchor. It allows us to adapt and to navigate through changing circumstances without losing sight of our core self. That's why if developing human capital was as simple as going back to graduate school or getting an advanced degree or pursuing certificates to add letters behind your name to fit into other people's mold, then you'd likely miss the bigger picture of what this process is all about. To be sure, at its core, understanding who you need to become as you develop your human capital is about ensuring that your journey is purpose-driven and comes from a place of self-awareness, so that it encompasses all facets of who you were meant to be. That's pretty deep, right? Well, it might seem that way if you've spent your entire life living other people's scripts. Indeed, this first step is really about taking the time to understand better who you need to become so that you can intentionally do the work of developing your human capital so that it reflects more of what matters to you. And so how do you go about this process? Well, at the start, you'll want to take some time to go into some deep reflection. Listen, we're not talking about hacks or shortcuts here. Indeed, if you want to genuinely build out your most valuable asset, you need to take the time to understand what you've got. So then to achieve this end, what you can do is go on a retreat and get away from a few days, or simply go for a walk for a few hours to clear your mind. But either way, spend some time reflecting on your core values, your passions, your strengths, and your weaknesses so that you can better understand which steps you need to take in your personal development path. And as you're going about doing this work, you can think about questions like, when I was 5 years old, what was I naturally good at? Or what sort of projects energized me? You can use those sorts of questions to give you an idea of your strengths and weaknesses and really what's driving your passions. And if you find yourself stuck on the types of questions you can ask yourself, then you could check out Warren Berger's book on asking beautiful questions. But the point here is to come up with questions that can help you jog your mind and ultimately help you craft a vision of your ideal future self that is based on the qualities and the skills and the experiences that you aim to possess. Indeed, what you're trying to do is get a better picture of not only what you're good at right now and what you enjoy doing, but think back to that 5-year-old self and what you really enjoyed doing at that time, figuring out how to translate that into your future self, and then creating a mental image of who you need to become so that you can use that as a guiding force in your journey of discovery. Now, once you have an idea of where you're going and who you need to become, like anything worth pursuing in life, you need to set some meaningful goals so that you can ultimately achieve what's essential to you. That's why you'll need to take that grand vision of your future self and break it down into smaller, more manageable milestones. Now, these smaller goals can act as mile markers on your journey, ensuring that you're moving in the right direction no matter what life throws your way. And so how do you know which direction you should head? Well, to figure this out, the next thing you'll want to do is to get feedback from trusted individuals in your life to help identify gaps between where you are today and where you want to take your life. Here, you'll want to engage with trusted friends or mentors or colleagues who can provide a clear understanding of your strengths and your weaknesses and to help you better understand the skill sets and the blind spots you have today that are either helping or hindering you from becoming the ideal version of yourself. Now, given your intrinsic goals, coupled with the feedback that you receive, you can now prioritize your learning that aligns with a grander vision of who you want to become. Indeed, this skills development effort can come from formal education or online resources, books, or experiential workshops. Either way, the point here is not about acquiring degrees or credentials because other people expect you to do so. Rather, what you're doing is educating yourself as a way to ensure that you're constantly acquiring knowledge and skills that align with your envisioned path. And so by taking this transformative journey with self-awareness and from a place of intention, you'll likely have the ability to develop your human capital from a place of authenticity, which ultimately will allow you to provide immense value to people around you. All right, so now that you understand how to align your human capital development with who you want to become, let's talk about actually doing the work. Now, when you embark on this journey of understanding and developing your human capital, Execution is the bridge between what you'd like to achieve and the likelihood that you'll actually get it. Now, make no mistake, while vision crafting and planning are essential components of laying the groundwork for human capital development, it's through execution, or actually doing the work, that your ideas and your aspirations actually materialize. For example, let's imagine here for a moment that you have all the knowledge about a specific skill set or a concept, but you never apply it. It's like the man or the woman who spent all their time reading about training routines or supplements or gear and all the other hacks necessary to compete in a marathon, and yet they never get off the couch. In situations like these, all their work remains theoretical. Indeed, without execution, your understanding remains trapped within you. It's untouched and, more importantly, unchallenged by the outside world. That's why by actively executing, what you're doing is translating your inner insights and your growth and learning into tangible results, whether that's in personal achievements, professional projects, or relationships that you foster. To be sure, execution also allows you to put your game plan to the test as you encounter real-world challenges. Here again, it's one thing to anticipate obstacles as you formulate them in your mind, but facing them head-on offers a learning experience from the school of hard knocks that you'd never be able to get in a classroom setting. And so as you confront these challenges, you're forced to adapt and to learn and refine your approach, which at the same time allows you to enhance your skills and deepen your understanding of the process. At the same time, when you execute consistently, what you're doing is reinforcing commitment to your goals. And this is a crucial concept because, as James Clear puts it, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. It's a testament It's a testament to the dedication and to the seriousness for which you approach your vision. And you know, when you're serious in your approach, your actions have the ability to boost your self-confidence and build credibility with others, showing them that you're not just a dreamer, but actually a doer. In essence, while the journey to understanding who you need to become is deeply personal and introspective, it's the act of execution that propels you forward, which makes your vision a tangible reality. So then as you navigate the path of personal and professional growth, remember that it's your actions through your execution that truly brings your aspirations to life. All right, so now that we've talked about developing your human capital by first identifying who you want to become and then actually doing the work, let's take a moment to talk about taking your skills to the right arena. And so what do we mean by bringing your skills to the right arena? Well, you can think of it like the story of the priceless stone. Now, there are many renditions of the story, but in its essence, the story is about a boy who one day asks his father to tell him the value of his own life. Well, the kid's father gives the boy a stone and tells him to successively take it to a market, to a jeweler, and to a museum to see how individuals in each of these settings would value the stone. And so as he does this, the boy ultimately discovers that while market shoppers see the stone as just another rock and offer him just a little bit of money for his troubles, the jeweler recognizes its worth as a gemstone and offers the kid real money, while at the museum, the historical significance of the stone makes it nearly priceless. So then at its core, the boy's father uses this exercise to teach him that external appraisals from others don't determine the value of his life. To be sure, the story goes to show that intrinsic value, or the value we place on what we are worth, often varies depending on where and with whom we choose to place ourselves. What's more, the story underscores the importance of understanding one's worth and not allowing ourselves to settle for little gains, especially when what we bring to the table can be valued so much higher in the right setting. To be sure, your human capital, which encompasses your skills and talents and the unique value you bring to the table, is like that precious stone. And so while developing your skills and talents is undeniably essential, when it comes down to it, where and how you choose to showcase those skills can dramatically influence the return you get on your investment that you made in yourself. And what exactly are we talking about here? Well, if you're in a personal or professional relationship that doesn't recognize your value or your unique skills or talents, then over time, you're likely to feel underappreciated, you're likely to feel stifled, or even out of place. In fact, in the wrong environment, it can feel like no matter how much you improve or you develop, you'll never be good enough, which can ultimately lead to feelings of frustration, devaluation, or even questioning your own sense of self-worth. And just like that precious stone we talked about a moment ago, in the wrong environment, no matter what you do, your brilliance could remain hidden or undervalued, which over time can not only erode your confidence and limit your potential growth, but also limit the full value that you could otherwise bring from your human capital. Now, with all that said, when you find the right arena to showcase your skills, you'll likely be able to amplify your own value and naturally supercharge how quickly you can achieve your goals in extremely short order. What's more, when you're surrounded by individuals or teams that complement and value your skills, these collaborative efforts can lead to outcomes greater than the sum of individual efforts that you find yourself in. To be sure, in an environment where your skills are recognized, where they're appreciated and in demand, you'll find more opportunities to apply them, to refine them, and to develop them even further. And this reality not only accelerates your personal and professional development growth, but it also brings to the forefront the true value of your human capital. All right, so how do you ensure that you're in the right arena in the first place? Well, to start, what you'll want to do is have a deep understanding of your core strengths and your values. Here again, to do this, you'll need to take the time to invest in a deep introspection and truly grasp what you bring to the table, which is why understanding who you want to become is such a critical first step. To be sure, when you know what you're good at and what you're passionate about, it's easier to identify specific places and people where those strengths and passions will be most valued. Now, the next thing that you'll want to do to ensure that you're in the right arena is to do some deep research on your target environments. This could include understanding companies that you'd like to work for, organizations that you'd like to partner with, or communities that have a track record of valuing and nurturing the skills and the attributes that you possess. More specifically, what you'll want to do is set up informational interviews with these people in these specific locations to get their perspectives. And if this approach seems too personal or intimate for you, you could also take the time to look for testimonials or reviews or first-hand accounts from people who've been in these environments to get a better handle of their experiences. Either way, as you go about this process, be sure to prioritize environments that promote growth. And why is prioritizing growth important? Well, as the saying goes, you're either growing or you're dying. And so being in a place where you're not only being valued for your current skills, but also an environment that fosters continuous learning and growth, you'll find that it becomes a truly rewarding experience because it gives you the ability to refine and develop your abilities, and ultimately you're in an environment that recognizes and rewards evolution. And finally, if nothing else, remember to trust your intuition. Now, this saying seems so simple, but really it's so very crucial because what's often holding you back from leveling up in life is not your skill set, but just being in the wrong spot. It's like a flower that's mistakenly planted in the shade, and when it's moved to the sunlight, it blooms and it shows its true colors. To be sure, sometimes despite all your research and the feedback, your gut feeling can be a powerful guide to tell you if you're in the right place or not. And so if you find yourself in an environment where you're consistently feeling undervalued or out of place, then it might be time to consider moving to a setting more in line with your intrinsic value. Either way, as you go through this process, it's essential to not only be patient, but also be persistent. Finding the right arena to showcase your unique values and talents that you bring to the table may not happen overnight. In fact, it might take trying out several different environments before you land on one that truly values and amplifies your unique skills and your contributions. But the effort is definitely worth it in the end. When it comes down to it, there's only one version of you. And the journey that you're on right now, with the wealth of experiences and the skills and the talents that you possess, that's your human capital. That is your superpower. Now, with that said, the challenge is that many of us were raised with the script that says, go to college, get a good job, buy a house, get married, and save for retirement. The expectation is that that's the value that you bring to the world. But the truth is that this script, the script that's been handed to us, is often unsatisfying, and which is why developing your human capital isn't simply a chapter that ends after graduation. Indeed, developing your human capital is a lifelong process that can pave the way towards authentic living and lead you to where you genuinely desire. Remember, your value is best realized when you deeply understand and cultivate your intrinsic worth, actively execute on your vision, and place yourself in an environment that recognizes and nurtures your unique talents and abilities. Indeed, focusing on developing your human capital will take time and attention, but it will also take you one step closer to becoming the master of your own financial independence journey. Well, that's it for now. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the FI Mastery podcast. To learn more about our research, visit us at fimastery.com or email your questions to questions@franklinmadisonadvisors.com. Until next time, I'm Peter Donisanu, wishing you and yours abundant health and prosperity.
FI Mastery Podcast is brought to you by Franklin Madison Advisors, Inc. Franklin Madison Advisors is a registered investment advisor firm with its registration and principal place of business in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Registration of an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. This commentary and forecasts are limited to the dissemination of general information pertaining to Franklin Madison Advisors' investment advisory services and general economic and market conditions, and are subject to change without notice. The information shared today is not intended to be personal, legal, investment, or tax advice, or a solicitation to buy or sell any security or engage in a particular investment strategy. For additional information about Franklin Madison Advisors, including fees and services, please contact Franklin Madison Advisors or refer to the Investment Advisor Public Disclosures.